We'll do it live! Fuck it!
Hello, and welcome to Secular Shethinkers, where secular girls geek out and justifiably rage about the week's news. I'm your host, Dory Mooneyham, joined by my co-host, the Dirty Nerdy.
Hello!
Tonight's topic is about neurodiversity. We'll be discussing the stigma of psychological differences, explain why psychology is a science, and even walk you through how a psychological experiment is conducted. We also have new trolls, bosses, and a stupid sexist song. But first, a word from our sponsor. Shethinkers is sponsored by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download at audibletrial.com/Shethinkers. Audible has over 100,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. For every fan who signs up for a free trial, Shethinkers receives $15. It's a great way to help us pay for the podcast, even if you don't have a lot of money. Again, go to audibletrial.com/Shethinkers to download any free audiobook of your choice. That's SHETHINKERS, Shethinkers! Yay!
Yay!
I think Dirty Nerdy's muscle relaxer's kicking in.
And alcohol. Don't try this at home, kids.
We're what you call experts.
At mixing. Is that a narcotic? I don't know. You're the medical sort of person. You should know.
I only know about psychopharmacology.
Oh, okay.
Alright,
so
on to the
racist
trolls.
Halloween costumes.
Again!
Oh my god. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Halloween was yesterday, and so of course, there weren't enough people listening to us to realize that you shouldn't be a fucking racist asshole for Halloween. But, oh well. Some people were, including not one, actually. When we first put this in our show notes, this was the first one. There have since been at least 3 different couples of people.
Yeah, they did cute little couples costumes. So we
of Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman.
And when I said cute little couples costumes, that was like dripping in sarcasm and hatred for them.
In case that wasn't clear. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with you that you think dressing up like a murdered teenager is amusing. And not only that, but then there were more people who dressed up like Boston bomb victims.
Oh yeah, what the fuck?
What the fuck, man? Like,
I don't even know.
Do you even humanity,
but
bro?
Yeah, we had specific people that we were looking at for the Trayvon Martin trolls, but there was like this whole BuzzFeed article of like 20 people who are no longer allowed to celebrate Halloween. Because fuck them. Like, really. No. Just don't.
Just no.
Oh.
Speaking of people who aren't allowed to celebrate Halloween anymore.
Oh yeah. So there's this woman who not only thought it would be a good idea to send out a letter to only children that she deemed to be too overweight to get candy, but also she's the one who contacted the local news organizations about it. She's like, I bet everyone wants to hear my message. I don't know, but
come interview me about what a terrible human being I am.
Yeah, she's awful, and you're no longer allowed to celebrate Halloween. Just no one go to her house.
But yeah, it's a lovely little size-shaming article note that she decided she was going to put in the bags of what children she decided were overweight. And the little note says, "You're probably wondering why your child has this note. Have you ever heard the saying, 'It takes a village to raise a child'? I am disappointed in the village of Fargo, Moorhead, West Fargo."
You're not part of my village, asshole.
Fuck off. Your child is, in my opinion, morbidly obese, actually moderately obese, and should not be consuming sugar and treats to the extent of some children this Halloween season. My hope is that you will step up as a parent and ration candy this Halloween and not allow your child to continue these unhealthy eating habits.
Here's the thing, like, not only does fat shaming not work, it actually makes it worse.
It actually makes it worse.
But even if it did, she has no idea just by looking at these children whether or not they're healthy. And she has no idea whether or not the parents already are rationing the candy. I mean, plenty of parents do that after, like, Halloween and Christmas and Easter. They ration the candy out over a few days. You know, because any kid who eats a shit ton of candy all at once is going to have a stomach ache, and parents don't want to deal with that shit. So she's just assuming that these are terrible parents just because of what their child looks like.
Your child doesn't fit the beauty norm, therefore you're a bad parent.
It's ridiculous.
Gotta start it younger and younger, I guess. And then no list of trolls would be complete without a transphobe, apparently.
We have one every week.
I swear, like, hating on trans people is the new hating on gays. Like,
yeah.
They've pretty much given up on the whole gay marriage thing, so now they're like, well, now let's just bash the trannies. Especially trans babies, because they can't defend themselves.
Nothing's better than bashing children.
Yeah, why not, right? So apparently the CEO of the chairman of Jelly Belly has donated over $5,000 to Privacy for All Students, a group dedicated, it has one mission, and that's repealing the bathroom equality law in California.
Well, because 6-year-olds will get freaked out, apparently. I don't know.
When someone in another stall next to them might have different genitalia?
Well, sometimes if I'm in the stall for a while, I listen to what it sounds like when the others pee, and if it sounds like it's coming from, like, far above, then I get freaked out, and I'm like, does that person have a penis? But not really, because I'm not stupid. I don't have an irrational, like, fear of the person, how the person in the stall next to me is going to the bathroom.
The only issue I have with the person next to me peeing is that they better be sitting down if they're in the women's restroom, because I hate when people piss all over the seat.
God damn it, I hate that too. I have to clean up that shit at work. And you know what else I hate? Is when they make their own stupid seat cover.
Right, and then they leave it.
I'm like, what the hell, man? All you have to do to make it a self-flushing seat cover is put a portion of it to where it's in the toilet. And the thing is, making that stupid seat cover out of toilet paper makes you touch the toilet more than if you just sat your ass down on it. If you're gonna make a seat cover, clean up after yourself. Because then other people aren't gonna go to the bathroom in there. And then you're down a stall for the next 30 minutes or however long it takes me to go in there. That's my work rants for the nights.
So, yeah, those are our 3 trolls for the week. I don't know.
They're all assholes.
Terrible human beings with awful costumes.
It's hard
fat
to pick.
shaming mother, or transphobic chairman of Jelly Belly. I swear, like, I'm not going to be able to eat much longer if all these different companies keep giving money to queer-hating groups.
I'm like, just shut your mouth.
Go eat a pack of Ticks.
Exactly. Like, if your mouth starts to open and transphobic bullshit is about to spew out, just shove a bag of dicks in there, and that'll
problem solved.
Yeah, that'll keep the bullshit in. Okay, Dory, who do you choose?
I think I'm gonna go with the fat shaming woman with her shitty little letters she gives out to children. Because again, bashing children. What the fuck, man? At least pick on somebody your own size.
Man, I don't know, because, like, the Jelly Belly chairman is giving money to this group that's trying to repeal a law that's specifically to help children.
Yep.
But this woman is a little bit more, she's being a little bit more personal in her attack on the child. And then the Trayvon Martin costumes. Can I just, like, split my vote up between all three of them? I mean, the fat-shaming woman is still gonna win.
You just want to evenly split your vote?
Yes.
Okay.
33.33 repeat % of my vote goes to each one. So, what do we have for the fat-shaming woman?
Well, for the fat-shaming woman who doesn't want to give candy to children, we have Willy Wonka to deal with her.
Okay.
So let's listen.
Take it away.
Wrong, sir. Wrong. You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Thank you, Willy Wonka, but you misgendered our troll, okay?
It's not cool.
Work on that, man. All right. We got some bosses this week.
Just so our listeners know, we always have a very easy time finding trolls every week. We don't have as easy a time finding bosses.
Yeah, like, I get on Facebook or just the internet in general, and I'm just tripping over all the trolls. And then finding a boss is like finding a gold nugget somewhere. And it's so exciting. I'm like, oh my god, here's someone I don't entirely hate.
Right.
Yay. So it's very difficult. So if you want to help us out, you can message our Facebook group. What is it? Facebook.com/Secular Shethinkers.
Or you can also email us at secularshethinkers@gmail.com.
Again, we don't need trolls. We don't need help with that.
That's pretty easy to come by.
During the week, if you see somebody that's doing something awesome in the things that we are interested in, and if you listen to the show, you know what that is. Just send us a link, and we'll mention that we got it from you, and that will be your reward for helping us. Your name will be listened to by hundreds of other people, or tens of other people. I don't know how many people listen. All right, who's our first troll of the week?
Well, it was going to be the federal judge who overturned the Texas abortion laws, but now the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals has apparently decided that no, those laws that are clearly designed to shut down, one-third of all abortion clinics in Texas?
It's more than that.
Are clearly constitutional.
Is it 1/3?
Yeah.
Okay, it is 1/3. I was wrong.
So, for like a few brief days in Texas, we're like, all right, we have a temporary stay against this bullshit.
Like, yay, I'm going to go get an abortion today.
Yeah.
And then like 3 days later, they said, oh, never mind. I was like, damn it.
JK, guys.
Now I have to keep it. I'm not actually pregnant. Just so everybody knows. Just so the boy knows. Don't worry, I'm not pregnant.
So yeah, we had a boss snatched away from us this week.
I know. That is how difficult it is to come up with bosses.
Seriously.
We had one. It was in our grasp, and they were just plucked out. So, but we didn't want to switch it back over to trolls because we already had plenty.
So, we want to give props to the federal judge who tried to do the right thing. Tried. But, I mean, this obviously is still going to go to appeals. Unfortunately, the law is going to be in place until it goes to appeals, so we'll see how this plays out. But this is a common tactic that's being used all over the fucking country, where they don't actually outlaw abortion. They just come up with ridiculous bullshit that abortion clinics have to do.
Yeah. It's like, in order to be allowed to perform abortions at this facility, you have to be able to train a live tiger to jump through this fiery hoop.
We're just doing it to protect women.
It's to protect women. If you're not able to train this tiger to jump through a fiery hoop, then how do I know that you are being safe with your medical practices? We don't know. Also, if your closets don't meet specific dimensions. I think that was in Louisiana or Mississippi.
Who the fuck knows?
I don't know. One of those shitty southern states like Texas. I can say that because I'm from a southern state. Texas.
Like Texas. Actually, it is Texas.
It is Texas. Yeah, they they made their restrictions to where, like, the hallways and closets had to meet specific dimensions.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? And they didn't have a grandfather clause. They weren't going to grandfather in all the clinics that were already built. Like, here's the thing. When they update fire safety standards for, like, school architectures, like child schools, elementary schools, they have grandfather clauses for that shit. There are schools still running that don't actually meet federal and state fire safety laws because they were grandfathered in, and yet abortion clinics that are perfectly safe anyways, and there's really no reason for these like hallways to be a certain width or whatever, they're not grandfathered in. It's just a blatant way to block women's access to full health care, and it's bullshit, and I fucking hate them.
Yep.
If I believed in hell, they could go there.
I mean, there's no other outpatient procedure that's treated the same way. Like,
it's not.
An abortion before the 3rd trimester is an outpatient procedure. Like, it's super safe. There's hardly ever complications, and if there are, they are generally already know about it going in.
I don't get it. I mean, like, LASIK eye surgery, if that goes wrong, you could go fucking blind, and it's not treated the same way. I mean, I'm guessing it's not.
No, that's a great point, though. Like, LASIK eye surgery isn't treated the same, nearly as harshly as abortion, and that has permanent fucking consequences.
Yeah.
It's still treated as an outpatient procedure, which it should be, but so should abortion. So,
I hate it all.
Go eat a bag of dicks,
And, you know,
Texas.
I've been talking with some friends, and apparently there's already sort of a group that does this. I think they're trying to expand it, but it's basically an underground railroad to help women get to abortion clinics. Like, all legal. They're not, like, performing the abortions. They're just helping women get to legal clinics so that they have access.
Because unfortunately, we need that shit in order
I know.
For women to practice their own fucking life. Yeah.
They have that shit in Ireland to help women get to the UK so that they can get abortions, and it's just, it pisses me off to no end that we have a goddamn constitutional right to, you know, decide our own goddamn medical treatment. Just fuck you, everybody.
I saw a great little bit on Facebook earlier this week that was impotence is God's will. I don't want my health insurance paying for your impotence drugs.
Yeah, I had a friend share that. It was really funny, especially since she's also Christian, and I was like, yeah, I love you.
But I was like, yeah, man, you're never gonna see shit like that. Like, even when they talk about birth control, they're like, I don't want to pay for your sleeping around, blah, 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 whatever. It's like...
You know what? When people say, I don't want my... Like, with the mandatory birth control being provided for, like, in health insurance.
Yeah.
Being included. I don't hear any of these Catholic churches, because it's mostly Catholic businesses that are doing it. There are a few others, like Hobby Lobby, that are challenging it too, but it's mostly Catholic groups.
Because they have the fucking Catholic Church backing them up.
I don't hear them complaining about the women who get prenatal care and they're pregnant out of wedlock.
Right.
Isn't that also against Catholic doctrine?
Yeah, but Jesus. So...
But Jesus or but Jesus?
Either one.
Hey, I got vodka on my fingers. You want to help me out there? All right. Yeah, just so everyone knows, Dory just licked vodka off my finger.
Yep.
That's what I do during the show. I make drinks. Hooray, bartending during a show.
Yay. Okay, so our next boss is actually related. It's the website Personhood for Women.
Woo!
And they put together pretty awesome ads. Basically, they're all series of mugshots with the caption, brought to you by the pro-life movement. And then they have real-life shit that has happened before where women have been imprisoned over fucking personhood laws.
Yeah, they don't even have to use personhood laws. There are, I believe it's Mississippi, it's not a personhood law, it's the... They were laws that were meant to protect the children in homes where they were like cooking meth and shit like that. That's what it was meant for. They were basically child endangerment laws tied to drug laws, and they're using that to charge pregnant women who had miscarriages, or just pregnant women who are who they suspect is on drugs. There's at least one woman who they claimed was a drug addict, but as far as I know, they've never done a drug test to show that she even had drugs in her system, and she says she's never even done the drug that they're claiming that she did. And what happened was she had a miscarriage, and I think she already has 2 or 3 other children. And so she loses her baby, wanted baby. Like, she was going to keep this pregnancy. She wasn't trying. She didn't try to get an abortion or anything like that. And about 9 months or so after the miscarriage, she was arrested for, like, I don't remember what the charge was exactly, but I think they were trying to do, like, manslaughter and child endangerment or something.
Some bullshit or another.
And then there was another recent case, and fuck if I remember where it was, but it was a woman who was a drug addict, but she found out she was pregnant, wanted to get off the drugs, and it was a type of drug where you can take this prescription that when you go to a doctor and say, I'm a drug addict on this drug and I want to get off of it, they prescribe you this other drug, and it basically weans you off of what you're addicted to. But she couldn't afford to go to the doctor because, yay, American healthcare system.
Hooray!
And she couldn't afford the prescription anyways, so she got it from a friend. And she took that and got off the drugs. And by the time she went to the doctor, they did all the tests they needed to, found the baby was perfectly healthy, the woman was perfectly healthy. The only drug that was in her system was the one that helped her wean off the actual drug she was addicted to. And she was completely honest with her nurse and doctor about what she did, because, you know, you need to be completely honest with your doctor. You need to be able to in order to get good health care. And basically the doctor was like, well, I'm going to go ahead and prescribe you this again anyways, just so you'll stay off the drugs. And she goes, no, I'm off. I don't need to be back on it. I'm fine. And because she refused to take a certain drug, she was arrested about 2 weeks later.
Hooray.
And, it's like, wait, so I refused to take a drug and now I'm endangering my baby, which every test you've done so far shows that the baby is perfectly healthy and I'm perfectly healthy. It's like, fuck off, man.
Yeah, I don't fucking know. Like, I still have yet to understand how the same group of people who have all this fucking respect for fetuses then quickly turn around and basically they're like, oh, we're cutting food stamps, we're cutting education, we're, you know.
I don't know, this whole idea of,
I think we have Neely on.
Oh my god, do we have Neely on?
Neely?
Can you talk, Neely?
Yeah, here I am.
Yay!
Yay, Neely!
Yay.
Neely is our guest tonight to talk about our topic later, but I don't know if you were listening, Neely, but we were talking about our bosses, the Personhood for Women campaign. They are taking pictures. Are we echoing?
Probably a little bit.
Am I echoing?
Do you have oh shit.
I'm sorry, listeners. Give us just a moment so we can. Volume thing. I don't even know if we're still on now.
Probably not.
God damn it.
Oh, maybe. Are we still on?
Check Spreaker.
Hey, Spreaker's still working.
I'm sorry for the drop. My laptop suddenly died for like 2 seconds.
It died somehow.
Because if the charger isn't in there like absolutely perfectly, it'll just like die within 2 minutes. It does not have a very good battery life. But we have Neely on now. Yay!
Yay!
I think.
Maybe?
So basically what they're doing is criminalizing pregnancy to the point where women are... Oh god, I'm sorry.
Hey Neely, can you lower the volume on your end?
Okie dokie.
I think that's better. No, not quite.
Do we need to lower it on our end? Oh god.
How's that? That's better. We'll figure it out over the commercial.
Okay, yeah, that's what we'll do. So Neely, we're talking about the criminalization of pregnant women. Do you have any thoughts on this? Neely? Can she hear us?
I don't know if she can.
I can hear you.
There we go.
Here we go. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now a little bit.
Yay.
All right. What are your thoughts on the criminalization of women while pregnant?
Okay, I wasn't listening, but just hearing that, what criminalization of women while pregnant? That sounds insane. I wish I had been listening before I jumped on.
Well, it's just the same old personhood laws that they've always tried to push through.
They're using either personhood laws or they're...
That's on your end, Neely.
They're using either personhood laws or they're using child endangerment laws.
Yeah, whoever they are, they need to be lit on fire and pushed off a cliff.
You heard it first here on secular Shethinkers that they need to be pushed off a cliff.
Hooray!
Oh man, we might have to say bye to Neely for a minute and then figure this out during the commercial break.
Yeah. We'll see you in a second, Neely. Okay.
Sorry about that. We usually try to get that stuff figured out before the show.
But, you know, we'll do it live. Fuck it.
All right. So, personhood for women, this group, yeah, they're definitely a boss for raising awareness about this in a very humanizing way. They show the pictures of these women and what they were charged with and everything. It's like the actual thing that they're having to raise awareness of sucks, but I'm glad that they're raising awareness for it.
Yeah. Actually, our last boss is also someone who put on a series of ads to raise awareness, and it is UN Women, who came up with a brilliant and simple ad campaign. All they did was they have pictures of women, and their mouths are covered with Google searches about what the different ads are. Women should, and then it auto-completes. Women cannot, women shouldn't, and women need to. And the auto-completes are pretty horrific.
And the thing is, it's not just something that they, like, fabricated, because when I saw this earlier this week, I spent a good hour, like, taking screen caps of my own autocompletes of women should, women can, and the only thing that I have to say is that with the women cannot one, they prompted the auto. It looks like they searched for women cannot, and it auto completed with like drive, be bishops, be trusted, speak in church. But when they don't even have to spell out the word cannot, they can just put women can, and it will automatically autocomplete it with not. You do not, the first 4 autocompletes do not have a positive result for what women can do. It's all what women cannot do. I think that would have been a little bit more powerful of an image. The same thing with the women shouldn't. I like their women should one, because all they did was put women should, and it came with that. Theirs came up with like stay at home, be slaves, be in the kitchen. when I put in women should, it came out with women should not fill in the blank with any bullshit thing that people say women shouldn't do, and there you go. But I really liked this campaign. I thought it was an interesting kind of sociological image.
Yeah.
That you can look at.
And then having the Google search covering their mouths is also a nice little touch. Like, it's a very simple campaign, but it's pretty powerful. And what's great about it is, like you did, you can basically, it prompts you to do your own experiment to see, like, is that really true?
And I didn't just do it with women. I went through and did men can, men need to, men should. And funnily enough, when I did men can, one of the autocompletes was men canvas shoes. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Men's shoulder bag was another one?
I put men should, and it was men's shoulder bag. So it's like an actual advertisement thing, or it would lead you to advertisements, whereas the women was just all negative things.
So, so basically our bosses are, we have the federal judge who tried to overturn the restrictive abortion laws in Texas, personhood for women, and UN women.
This is difficult.
Yep.
I think I'm going to go with the judge, just because even though, I mean, he can't help what the Fifth Circuit does. He's below the Fifth Circuit and has to follow what they do. That's the law. But I'm going to have to go with him since, I think it's a him, since he, you know, honestly took a look at the law and and made the right decision there. And I'm not just saying right decision because it's what I agree with, but right decision because I actually fucking know the Constitution and I understand what Roe v. Wade allows and what it doesn't allow. And it does not allow this bullshit. So I'm really hoping that the Fifth Circuit decision gets appealed, because this is something that's really important. It's going on in so many states. I think we really do need a Supreme Court decision on this.
Yeah, I think so too.
I don't know how else to go forward on it when you have different circuits around the country are coming up with different answers for it. And that's one of the reasons why the Supreme Court would take a case, is when there's a lot of controversy on it.
Yeah, it's basically like, well, somebody needs to make the ultimate decision, and that's what the Supreme Court's for.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so I guess that's your vote?
That's my vote, yeah, the federal judge.
I think I'm gonna have to split the vote, because
oh no,
I really liked the UN Women campaign.
I really liked that too. That was my second choice.
So maybe we'll just share it with both of them.
The personhood one depressed me a little too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, as you know, we've been doing this boss speeches segment to go with the bosses. And we have a really awesome one for you that ties into the terrible costumes that we've kind of ranted about the last 2 weeks. Not only that, but it references the only good part of the stupid sexist song that we talked about last week too.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, and listen to the whole fucking thing. I will reach through my computer and make you listen to it. All right,
we'll be back
ready?
after commercials.
Okay, go ahead.
Every year for Halloween, I wanted to be a pumpkin, sunflower, M&M, turtle. But when you get older, the costumes tend to get smaller, finessing curves into eye candy instead of masterpiece. American Beauty turned apple pie cutie. So this year, I decided to be a school teacher, nurse, fairy, Wonder Woman. But when I went to buy the costume, I was like, where's the rest of it? Is beef for books or boobs? Was the tooth fairy a stripper? To check temperatures or raise them? Oh, hell no. Heels? Halloween has become a different type of freak show. And all that I am don't fit prettily into polyester and spandex. I'd much rather be a Sasquatch, Godzilla, King Kong, Loch Ness, Goblin, ghoul, a zombie with no conscience. Everybody knows I'm a motherfucking monster! Society is trying to squeeze the fantasy out of us. Turn our feminine fatal. So think I'll be monster. Let me be mummy, empty of all organs so they'd never fail me. Only my heart would remain, the center of intelligence and emotion. But I'd never need to feel another pair of greedy eyes on me. Monster.
I'd much rather be vampire, my reflection disappearing every time I looked in the mirror, so I wouldn't have to worry about flaws that stare blankly back at me.
I will suck every woman's stereotype out of your throat.
Monster.
I've heard that some of the most beautiful women
are the craziest ones.
On a bad day, I'm human. On a full moon, werewolf that I exist when the lunar ticking till the time comes when I'm finally comfortable in my own skin. Monster.
Let me be your worst nightmare for one night.
I'll shed away my wings in Betsy Johnson's and I'll play boogeyman. See, I know what you're afraid of, a woman who can do bad,
no evil,
all by herself. But nowadays, boogeyman is a lot less frightening than a strong woman. Monster.
But no matter what garments we wrap ourselves in,
a woman's status as trick, treat, or geek is not up for discussion.
A woman dressing, acting, or being should be
her choice.
If a woman wants to wear a skimpy outfit, let it be
her choice.
If a woman wants to cover up, let it be
her choice. If I want to be a motherfucking monster, then let it be my choice.
Is B for books or boobs?
Both.
To check temperatures or raise them?
Both. Was the tooth fairy a stripper?
Maybe, but who cares? See, I'd much rather be woman. And if it means that I must be a monster, then happy Halloween.
Washington, D.C.
Audible.com is offering a free 30-day trial for you, the listeners of Shethinkers. To check out their service and download a free book of your choice, go to audibletrial.com/Shethinkers. This week, we personally recommend Batman and Psychology, A Dark and Stormy Night by Travis Langley. It's a great introductory book about psychology that ties in the sheer awesomeness of Batman to make the concepts easy and relatable. And we've already reviewed this book on the show in the past, so you already know what a great book it is. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/Shethinkers. Again, that's audibletrial.com/Shethinkers for any free audiobook of your choice. And we're back.
Hello.
So we're getting ready for everyone's favorite segment, or maybe nobody's favorite segment.
I'm not
sure. The stupid sexist song of the week. I actually really searched to find lyrics for this, and I could not find it.
I'm looking for lyrics now, and it took me to a BlackBerry smartphone ad.
Yeah.
All right. I hate
So,
life.
This song,
I haven't even listened to it or
neither
seen
of
the
us,
lyrics. So.
Neither of us have listened to this or seen the lyrics, so it's going to be fresh, I guess.
We're just trusting from our good friend Caitlin
that
it's
that it's terrible. And with a name like Little Girl by Cock Diesel, I'm pretty sure it's going to be terrible.
To be fair, I think Cock Diesel is an awesome name for a band. I don't know why.
I don't know about Little Girl being an awesome
Yeah, I
name
don't
for a
think
song now.
Not by someone named Cock Diesel, no.
Yeah. All right, let's get this over with.
Oh God. Okay, go ahead. Okay, stop. I know this is early in the song, but for those of you not following along with the music video, it starts out with two chicks in what looks like almost a lesbian porn type.
But like
fantasy.
straight man version of lesbian porn.
Straight man version lesbian porn. And both girls are wearing sort of skimpy schoolgirl type outfits, and one of them, the shirt says "Daddy's Little Girl," but they're obviously not young girls. They're like in their 20s. And that's just more fetishizing of the young, and I fucking hate that. Stop doing that. Alright, you can go ahead and play it, the thing.
Okay.
I don't take candy from strangers.
And it just gets creepier.
I'm just a baby.
God.
This is so creepy. The video is pretty terrible.
Spit it in and suck it out and feed between the lines. Open up and let it out. I want her all the time. She's a precious little doll. Make her cry, smile or please.
Okay, stop. This is creepy.
It's really creepy.
God damn it, Caitlin. Why do you gotta be so creepy? Spit it out, suck it out, and then, like, she's a little doll, make her cry. This is all really creepy shit. It's more fetishizing of little girls in a very explicit manner. And here's the thing. I actually just recently read this really great article, and I can't remember the name of the woman who wrote it, but she's a woman. She's written a lot of books, and she was actually born in a Moroccan harem, I believe. And she's written a couple books on her life experiences, like growing up Muslim, and, you know, she talks about how and where she grew up, the patriarchy, the men used space to oppress women by restricting where they could go, what they could wear, and all these things. And then she, in this article, she contrasted it with how the women in the West are oppressed, and she did it. It was very poignant, and I will find the link and we'll put it in the show notes. But she basically said, in the East and in Muslim countries, they oppress women by restricting their space, and in the West, they oppress women with time. And by that, she means that women are expected to fit this very narrow, not just weight, but also this narrow age. That if you're over 30, you're automatically too old. You know, you're an old hag type of thing. And she actually viewed that as a little bit more oppressive and said she's glad that the men in the East have not figured this out yet. It all it's a very great article. It starts out with her describing her time in a New York department store where the sales lady just couldn't understand that this woman coming in to look for a skirt didn't even know what size she actually was, because that was never a thing. In Morocco, you go and you buy your fabric and you design your own clothes, and you have a seamstress make it, and so you don't even care about your size, really. But the sales lady was like, well, you don't fit a size 6, so you don't fit in here. It was a very stark contrast, and this whole little girl fetishizing thing just kind of brought that back to my mind, so I guess you can continue playing it.
All right.
But pull the string and she will pose for me. Dress her up and strip her down correctly anatomic. Feel her skin and stick it in, you'll swear that she's bionic. Grip is in her hips and the tension won't stop. Vice is so tight it locks a diesel car. Little girl, you're on alone. Just wanna play. You're mine to own.
Really? Your mind to own?
Yeah. No.
I think I just threw up in my mouth a little bit.
It's the best way for Neely to come back in.
Oh, she just threw up in her mouth a little bit. I'm so glad you're able to make it for the stupid sexist song. Everyone say hi to Neely.
Neely, I don't know if you're able to watch this video, but like it's kind of like last week where the visual is almost it's hard to decide which is worse, the visual or the lyrics.
I don't think I can even watch the video. It's like seriously
so creepy.
freaking me out a little
bit.
Yeah. Trigger warning. I'm just letting everyone out there know. Now that I'm watching it and seeing it, yeah, be careful.
It's basically, you could find any lesbian porn made for straight men, and then just put this music on in the background.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
2 straight girls pretending to like each other.
Yeah.
In a very uncomfortable way.
Oh God, stop. There's no one home. Little girl, there's no one home, can't run away.
Ew. God damn it.
Oh, do I even have to explain why that's terrible? Do I need to go into that?
No, I don't really think that we do.
Okay. I mean, if you're having to tell your date not to run away, or that she can't.
This was written by Robin Thicke, wasn't it?
I'm gonna say it reminds me of It's Always Sunny when they buy a boat, and he's like, well, yeah, we get the girls out on the boat, and then they really can't say no. He said,
Oh God.
What do you mean they can't say no? Well, because of the implication. It's like that.
Yeah.
All right.
There it is again. Oh, good. Porn noises.
See her walking, talking, no, she even seems to see. Sit her down and spread her legs and she will comfort me. Every time I see her now my heart will start to panic. A kiss, a touch, a smile, a rush, I know my love is plastic. Put it in and pull it out, I do it all the time. She's a little precious doll, I keep her 'cause she's mine.
Oh God, stop. Okay, this is sounding more and more like a sex slave type of thing. Like, she's my little doll, I keep her 'cause she's mine. And it's really... If you want that, just get one of those big life-size doll things.
Yeah.
Like an actual doll.
Like the real dolls or whatever they're called?
Because women are not dolls.
No.
We're not... This is literally objectifying her. It's like making... I don't know if that's actually literally, but fuck it, I don't care. I'll use it in the internet sense.
I've had like 3 drinks, so... It's at least figuratively objectifying.
At least that, if not more.
Oh, only 1 more minute. At least this is short.
Oh,
not
okay.
like Monster last week.
The only good thing I can say about the song is that it's short. Like some other things. Oh God.
So not only is it terrible, but like he's just repeating the same lyrics over and over again.
Come on, man. If you're gonna be a gross, rapey asshole, at least be original. And like have more than one verse or something.
Right?
I don't know.
He's like, I'm going to distract from the fact that this is basically a shit song and my voice is so awful. Let's just throw some porn on there. Girl. Motive.
Alright, just a little bit more.
Okay.
I'm your little crow, Daddy.
And more porn noises.
Baby girl.
Like, this guy only sings like 30 seconds worth of this whole song.
And it's repeating the same thing.
Yep.
Yay!
I don't think we really need to hear anymore.
Yeah, I think we're good there.
Yep.
Okay.
Alright. This is terrible. Like, don't even watch it to see how terrible it is. Just
Thank you, Caitlin, for this.
I think you win.
I didn't know there was a competition, but yeah, Caitlin wins.
At least this week. Every week we say this is the worst one we've ever heard.
Yeah.
And then it's like people challenge us with like, oh no, this is even worse than that one.
No, we can find something worse.
This is like in Wrath of Khan when Kirk is like, oh. Cannot unsee, cannot unhear.
One thing about the video I'd say is, once you see it, you can't unsee it.
No.
So, yeah, there's that.
Warning, just so you know.
Yeah. I don't... With the other videos, I'm like, yeah, watch it for the lulz, and for this one, I'm like, no, it's just creepy and makes me feel bad.
Just don't watch it.
Just take our word for it.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Pretty much that.
Alright, so, I'd like to introduce a new segment.
Oh my god, what's this new segment?
It's a new segment called Do You Even Science, Bro?
That's like your catchphrase. You say that all the time.
Yeah, I do.
Like, off the air.
Yep. Because it just drives me insane that people don't even have, like even a Mythbusters understanding of the scientific method.
I know, just watch the Mythbusters and you'll have at least half of it down.
Right?
I don't know.
Like, if people at least had a basic understanding of, like, how Mythbusters does an experiment, then I could be like, alright, you at least vaguely understand what science is.
It's doing everything you can to blow this shit up, right?
Well, I always liked, I'm fairly certain it was Adam who said, the only difference between science and screwing around is that you write shit down when you're done.
That works for me.
So,
I write shit down all the time.
Yep.
Science. Oh, that hurt my back. I need more drink.
So, for this first one, in order to tie in with neurodiversity and psychology, I'm going to talk about how you design a psychology experiment.
And you know a lot about that because you're like taking one of those classes or something right now, aren't you?
I've been on.
Or did you already?
I've been on 3 different research teams in the past year, and I've conducted.
La-dee-da.
And I conducted my own on media consumption and women's body esteem, which was pretty fun.
You would at that lesbian feminist school of yours.
Yep. I go to Muncher University.
I was so fucking jealous. Hooray, drinks.
Yay.
Just so everyone out there knows, we're drinking Atomic Sprites.
Yeah.
It's usually Atomic Lemonade, but we didn't feel like making lemonade, so we just used Sprite. It's triple sec, and it's basically like equal parts triple sec vodka and blue curacao. I don't know how to say it. And then you just fill the rest of the glass with ice and Sprite.
And it's delicious.
It is delicious. It's good with lemonade too, but it's pretty good with Sprite as well. So
and
that's
it's really super sciencey.
It's scientific.
It is scientific. It's chemistry. Dory likes to use 2 ounces of vodka instead of just 1. But since I took a muscle relaxer earlier, I figured I should just use 1 ounce of vodka and then drink like 5 drinks.
That makes it better.
It does, right?
Oh, okay, so there's a lot of misconceptions about psychology and whether it's a science or not. And I think a lot of that comes because, like most fields of science, the origins of psychology are in woo. But again, that's true of chemistry, which had its origins in alchemy, or any other of the quote-unquote hard sciences, have all had their roots in woo eventually. Astrology had astronomy, so on and so forth. And we have Freud. And our curse is that I always have to hear about fucking Freud and Jung anytime I tell someone that I'm a psych student.
Remember that guy that we argued with for like over 1,000 comments, and he was trying to push this psychology book on us that was using like Jung, like theories from Freud and Jung.
It's got Jungian theory, man. And I was like, oh god.
I'm like, you're over 100 years out of date, man.
That was the PUA guy.
Yep.
Neely remembers.
God, we had like the most epic trollery that day.
That day? I thought that went on for like
It went on
days.
for about a week.
Yeah.
Dory didn't really comment. She kind of commented through me because she was reading it as I was like trolling this guy horribly.
I think that's when you came over to keep me company when I was sick.
It
too.
was. And she multiple times was like, "Do you even science, bro?" So it fits in with this.
It does.
He blocked me early on in that conversation, so I was just guessing what he was saying based on comments. I'm pretty impressed with myself that I was pretty spot on, mostly because those guys repeat the same shit over and over again.
But yeah, damn it, we're echoing again. Oh well.
Oh no, just power through it. It's fine.
All right.
For our listeners, if you guys like made it through the first 2 podcasts we had, you can make it through this.
Oh man, our sound quality was so terrible. It sounded like we were in a fucking wind tunnel.
Yeah.
Probably because we were.
We were. It's hot up here, man.
Yep.
I hope you guys know what sacrifices we make to do this show. All right. So how do you design a psychology experiment, Dory?
So it's not that different from designing any other science experiment. It has a lot of the same steps, only it involves people because it's psychology. So the first few steps are going to sound really familiar. The first one is just going to be observation, and that's just kind of figuring out what your interests are, what sort of topic you want to do, and then you want to narrow that down. The way that you're going to narrow that down is through your literature review. So basically, like in the last one I did where it was on media consumption and body shame, we did research to see what other people had done about women and media consumption and body esteem and body shame. And when we saw what all of those people had studied, we're like, well, what can we do that's different from those, but still kind of bounces off of what they've already done?
And that goes into the literature review, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to go in and look at that. That reminds, I did a similar type of thing. It wasn't an actual study that I did. It was for this paleontology class I did. I had to pick a specific, it was a dinosaur class, so I'm a huge geek. I still have the big book. It's called Dinosauria.
That's awesome.
It was an awesome class. I loved it.
Chris took one of those, and it was just called Dinosaurs with an exclamation point. That was the name of the class.
I don't remember what the name of ours was. It was a fancy name for paleontology dinosaur class. But basically what I did was a literature review. And I was the lucky one who chose a recently discovered species. So there was only one paper written specifically about this species. So what I had to do was go and find the ones that it's related to and discuss a lot about that. And it was an island dweller, and so there were some other things that went into that, and so I discussed how living on islands affects evolution and stuff. So I had to be pretty creative about about my literature review, but that's basically what the whole project was, and so I kind of understand this part.
Yeah.
Sorry to derail with dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs are awesome, man.
I was a geology minor for a while. I've done a lot of shit, okay?
One of the really important things you want to figure out during your literature review is what methods people have done in the past that have been found to be reliable and valid. And speaking of reliable and valid, people usually use those interchangeably, but reliable basically means that you're going to get consistent results, and valid means that it's actually measuring what you want it to measure. So, for example, like a bathroom scale is reliable because you're always going to get the same weight if you like stand on it and then step off and then stand on it again.
But it's not valid if you're actually trying to get blood pressure.
Right. or if it's not calibrated right and it's not giving you the right reading. Like, even if it is giving you a reading for weight, but if it's not giving you the right reading for weight, then it's reliable because it gives you the same one every time, which might be good enough if you're just comparing, like, changes over time. But if it's not, then those are the kind of things that you need to look for in your lit review.
I had I think it was my car. It may have been, like, my friend's car, but basically the speedometer didn't work right.
Yeah.
It was consistent. But it was always like 20 miles per hour over what you actually were doing.
Yeah.
But it took us a while to figure out that's what it was doing. So we had to do a few tests to like kind of calibrate it, but we never actually fixed it. And so yeah, it was consistent but not valid.
So
yay, examples.
I know. So once you've kind of narrowed down what your topic is and you're starting to get a pretty good idea of what it is you want to study, you want to come up with some hypotheses, and definitely plural, because if you just come up with one, you're going to get it wrong. You always get it wrong, at least a few of them.
Is it hypotheses or hypothesi?
It's hypotheses.
Okay. That's important.
It is. But you definitely want to, go with the shotgun method and just hope that you find something. So, when we did ours, there were, 6 different measurements that we had for body esteem. And so we were like, well, we'll just hope that at least one of these is affected by the media that we chose to show to people. So you just want to have as many hypotheses as you can so that maybe something will be verified by the time you're done with your experiment. It's super frustrating because at least half the time, probably 75% of the time, you don't find shit when you do experiments.
Yeah, I've actually read a few things about that. That's I don't want to say problem, but it's something that scientists are looking into, in just about every field, is that people tend to not publish negative results.
Yeah.
They only publish positive ones.
Exactly.
And the negative ones only get published right after the positive ones do. And so at first with some things, it'll look like there's a positive correlation or there's a positive connection between two things, or it'll look like this hypothesis is true, when really this is the only one that ended up being positive just from statistical anomaly. And then there's 80 other scientists out there who have done the same test and it came up negative.
Yeah.
They proved the null hypothesis. So.
But yeah, like you said, because we don't share negative results, unless there's at least one positive result, you're not going to hear about the negative results.
I think it would be cool to have not necessarily a published thing, but maybe a database where people could upload their negative results so you could check it out. I don't know how else to fix that.
Like I said, since most people go with the shotgun approach, where let's just hope at least something is right, then you're still going to publish all the other things that weren't confirmed. So if you actually, I guess, dig through the articles, you can find out what did and didn't work. So once you've got your hypotheses, then you're going to gather your materials. And materials in psych reviews can be not just physical materials, but they can also be putting together a survey that you're going to do, or recording the videos, or...
Hello, would you like to do a survey?
Or hiring actors, which are actually called Confederates when you're using them in experiments.
It sounds like they're spies.
I know. They kind of are. They're supposed to... Confederates are really fun to use, actually. But Confederates are when you have somebody pretending to be either a participant, or they might be pretending to be the person conducting the experiments, or there's all kinds of things that Confederates can do. They're the most fun to use. And sometimes other psychologists can be used as Confederates.
I have limited experience with psychological experiments, because when I went to UTA for a while, Utah. No, I don't like that school. For personal reasons, not for academic reasons.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyways, but when I went to Utah, I took a psychology class there. They were like, you can either do a literature review every week, which is you go and find an article and then write a summary, or you can do volunteer for 3 experiments. And so it's like, shit, I'll do the experiments, because all you have to do is bring proof that you were in the experiment. And they all said that they were from memory or something, but I think they were lying their asses off the whole time. Like, because by that point, I think the sampling is a little biased there, because I'm in psychology classes and they're explaining at least a little bit how they design experiments, and that sometimes they lie to you about what the reasons are. And so the whole time I'm taking this, like, supposedly memory thing, I'm wondering, like, what's the real reason behind this?
Yeah, well, and that brings us to the next segment. So once you've gathered the materials you need for your experiment, then you try to recruit participants. And the important thing about your participants is, number one, you should try as much as you can to have your sample, which is the people that you're actually experimenting on, be representative of the overall population you're trying to make generalizations about. This is all assuming that your experiment has already been approved by an ethics board, because we kind of take that shit seriously in psychology or any other science that experiments on people.
You won't have any more Little Albert experiments.
No more Little Albert experiments. No more Stanford prison experiments.
I read an article like today about that.
Yeah.
About how it wasn't actually even a very good experiment anyways.
No, I mean, the Stanford prison experiment is, like, basically we just use it in textbooks to point out why we have ethics boards now.
Yeah.
Same with... There are plenty of things in psychology, like, in the past. And it's not just psychology. There's plenty of other sciences as well, where you're like... The
Tuskegee experiment was pretty god-awful.
Yeah, that's a prime example, where you're like, oh, this is embarrassing. Let's make sure this doesn't happen again.
Yeah. I read... I don't know if you've had to deal with this in phenomenon in creating your experiments, but the article I read about the Stanford prison experiment, one of the main reasons why it was basically a fail all around, not just from an ethical point of view, but was also because volunteers in psychological experiments tend to do what they think the experimenter wants them to do.
Oh yeah, it's called performer bias.
Yeah, that's what it is, performer bias.
Yeah.
And the whole part of the Stanford prison experiment was like, at the beginning, the experimenters basically told the people who were randomly assigned as guards what they expected them to do. Like, almost explicitly. And I'm just wondering, like, have you had to account for that at all in yours, or are yours designed in such a way that it doesn't really affect it?
That's what you always try to do when you're designing your experiment, is you want to eliminate as many of those factors as you can. So once you have your experiment designed, it's one of the things you're going to go back over and double check. Let's be honest, usually with your professor or your advisor or some kind of supervisor that you have, because it's extremely unlikely that whatever experiment you're doing it all by yourself without any kind of input coming from somewhere. Science ain't cheap, so somebody's got to pay for it. So you're usually answering to somebody who's going to check you on shit like that as much as they can.
Well, I mean, it's like they want to pay for an experiment, but they don't want it to be useless.
Yeah.
So there's always that.
But that's the reason why in many psychology studies you use deception to some degree. You don't actually
deception.
You don't actually tell your participants what you're studying, so that they're not trying to perform what it is that they think you want to find.
Like I said, in all of mine, they were telling us that it was something to do with memory.
Yeah.
And so I was trying really hard to remember things, but then I thought, wait, but they're allowed to lie to us. And it kind of... have you ever read the book The Giver?
Yeah.
It reminds me of when Jonah suddenly realizes that if he's allowed to lie, maybe other people are allowed to lie. Oh my god! Okay, we're on the same page here.
Yep, same. But yeah, deception's used in psychological experiments to varying degrees. It could be something as simple as you tell them part of what you're studying, but you don't tell them what you're actually measuring. Or you just flat out lie to them and tell them that you're studying something completely different from what you're actually studying. It just depends on to what degree you think deception is necessary. And the ethics board is either going to okay that or deny it, depending on what kind of potential damage could be done to your participants. So when you're trying to generalize your sample to the population, you want to take into account as many demographics as you can. So age, race, gender, education level, socioeconomic status, and pretty much everything else you can think of, so that you can try to make it as close to the population at large as you can. But a lot of those are going to be, a lot of them are going to be biased, because a lot of psychology experiments, like seriously, a lot, are done in college campuses, because that's where a lot of studies are done, and it's easy to recruit students, because a lot of students work part-time, or they don't work if they're living on campus, or they have some kind of incentive to participate in the studies, like bonus grades on classes or something.
Like not having to write shit.
Yeah.
I was like, all I have to do is go in here and like subject myself to experiments? Okay. Yeah. And that brings me to another point about like, sampling biases in other sciences that don't necessarily directly experiment with humans, I feel like they might be easier to overcome. That might just be my ignorance speaking, and maybe it is just as difficult to overcome sampling biases. But
well, and you just have to be sure that if you do have a sampling bias, that you are clear about that when you're generalizing to the population.
Okay.
So like if your sample is just college students, then at best the population you can generalize to is college students.
Okay.
And as long as you're doing that, then it's still okay. It's only if you take, we sampled this many college students, and then you try to generalize that to everyone, that you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, and I hate to go back to the Stanford prison experiment, but I literally read about that 6 hours ago. So it's on my mind. Good thing, because we talked about stuff tonight. But that was one thing that stuck out with me was that they were trying to generalize to the actual prison population.
Yeah.
But they used college students.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So another thing that you want to do. So we've already done observation, literature review, hypotheses, gathering materials, and participants kind of count as materials, although we don't call them materials because that sounds, objectifying, but they are part of the materials you're experimenting on.
Gather your materials, people. I've got 8 extra materials over here. What do I do with them? Just train them as Confederates.
Basically. So after you've done all that, then you're going to want to eliminate all variables except the ones you're actually trying to study. So I'm hoping most people have heard about independent variables and dependent variables. Just in case, independent variables are the things that you're manipulating that are different between the control group and the experimental groups. So a control group is going to be exactly the same as your experimental group, except for the things that you're changing that you're hoping to study. So if you're hoping to study, say, media exposure, and let's say specifically like sizist media, so you'll randomly expose the control group to some kind of neutral media, like something not even related to size, and then you'll randomly expose the other group to something that is about dieting or something like that. That kind of ties in with the next point, is that for it to be a true experiment, the participants have to be randomly assigned to either the control or experimental groups. There are things that are called quasi-experiments, where if the independent variable that you're studying is some kind of innate part of your participant, like say you're studying the difference between how gender relates to a dependent variable, then that's not really it's not a true experiment, because obviously you can't randomly assign gender to your participants. But it's a quasi-experiment, because if you have a large enough sample, then it should pretty much even out either way. So for it to be a true experiment, there has to be random assignments. But it's okay if you don't, you just have to account for it. Then you actually carry out your experiment, which can be as simple as conducting a survey and then looking at the results, or it can be something complicated and carried out in the laboratory. What matters most is that you're getting reliable and valid data that you can then interpret later. Like I said in the Mythbusters, the only difference between screwing around and science is that you're writing down data and then interpreting it.
So if I make a bunch of drinks and try each one and then write shit down later about it, I'm doing science.
It's an experiment.
It's for science, everybody. That's why I'm getting drunk tonight. You'll see my notes on our alcohol later. After I analyze the data.
Although you might be biased since you're experimenting on yourself.
Well, if it was good for the CIA with their LSD experiments, it's good enough for me. We should talk about that one night. That is...
Sometime.
Wow.
So, after you've conducted your experiment and you've written down all the data from collecting the experiment, then comes... You either think this is the boring part or you think it's the exciting part when you're actually analyzing the data that you've collected from your experiment, and then you get to find out what you've actually discovered from your experiment, if anything. I remember when I was doing one of my studies, and me and my two partners in the study got like way too excited about one finding that we had out of like the 8 different things we were measuring, and we found,
oh my god, this is slightly statistically relevant.
We were like, this is statistically significant.
That's the word I was looking for, statistically significant, but I didn't think I could say that word, so I said relevant instead.
And rather than trying to get into the way too complicated topic of what is statistically significant, I'll just say that there's a program that we use called SPSS. Pretty much everyone in social sciences uses it, and you can do ANOVA and all kinds of other fun ways of interpreting data, and you can set it in such a way that you can find things that are statistically significant. Thankfully, we don't have to do that shit by hand anymore because it would take forever.
Oh man, I took a stats class. It was like elementary statistics, so yeah, there's that. But I mean, it's still like the first stats class you have to take. It's still a lot of math, and he taught us how to do everything like through Excel, and we were even allowed to use that shit. Like during tests, he let us use Excel. But my problem was my Excel on my computer at home did not work right for the statistical analysis of anything. It apparently I need to say statistically relevant a million more times. Statistically relevant. I can't say it. Anyways. But, like, my Excel program just would not work correctly. It never came up with the right answer, and half the time it would just freeze up. And so I said, fuck it. I'll just do it all by hand. And I still have all my notes from that class, and they're all color-coded and shit. And I almost made an A. I was, like, 2 points from an A. So I pissed myself off for not getting an A in that class because I worked really hard. And he could not believe that I was doing it all by hand. Because I did it for the test, too, because that's how I studied it. I didn't study how to do it all on Excel, because I didn't have that program available, at least not at home. And even doing it by hand, I was still one of the first people to turn in my test, so I was pretty proud of that. But I did only make a B. So, I'm being honest here. I made a B in that class.
Yay.
But, it was fun, though. I liked it. I would take another stats class if I wanted to do more school.
I hated my stats class, but I really like doing statistics for studies. It's really fun. Only because you really do get really excited when you find something statistically significant because it's so rare that it happens.
The thing that I've heard is that you have to be careful not to, because if you're studying too many things at once, you're bound to find something. It's like if you throw 20 darts at a dartboard, one of them is bound to get you a point.
Yeah.
And so it might seem as if it's statistically relevant or significant, but if you're not being specific about what you're looking for, then you're going to find a connection to something somewhere.
And why
so it's useless.
That's why when you're analyzing data, you have to do it like one bit at a time. You can't just do everything at once. Like when we did our media consumption one, originally we just said we took all the women that we had, and it was like 200 or 300, I think, and it was a fairly good sample. I mean, there were too many college students for it to be completely generalizable, but there were people who were there were people who were 30 and older and from different cities and things like that. So it was all right. It wasn't great, but it was pretty good for a little thrown together experiment. But originally we just did everyone, and we saw what kind of findings we could have. Then what we had to do is basically break all that down by demographics and see what each set of demographics had showing. But of course, when you do that, then you're working with a smaller sample, which means it's not as generalizable because you have a smaller sample.
That's what I've noticed. I mean, you might start out with a sample that's like 300 or 400 people, but once you take it and break it down by those demographics, you might only have barely like 32 people in one demographic. And how many is it to be like statistically relevant at all? Is it 32 or 42?
It really just depends.
It's like a magic number.
I mean, not really. It just depends on what you're doing. Depending on what it is, the higher the better, really.
Yeah, always. I just remember, again, from my elementary stats class, that basically the magic number was like 42. Like,
I think that's just the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Am I thinking of that?
I think your professor is just fucking with you.
I can't remember now. It's been like 4 years since I took that class. But he basically had like, because we had to do our own experiment at some point during the class, and that was fun. We had to we didn't design it, he did, and we just had to go out and do it. But he was like, you have to have this amount of like observed people, not participants, because they don't know they're in it. Not to get too deep into it, but basically, like, you had to go and observe people and write down the data about them. But I think it was 42 was the number he wanted. So maybe he was just fucking with us.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Or maybe he was compiling your 42 with everyone else from the class's 42.
That's true.
Which would be a pretty good sample size.
But he said you had to have at least, like, that many in any study to even sort of be taken seriously. But he did say you have to have way more than that, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, the more the better.
I would say probably if you're trying to get published, probably at least 200, if not more. Like,
well, I mean, like, when you break it down by demographics.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I think I got confused. Hitchhiker's Guide, everyone.
Hitchhiker's
Read
Guide.
It. It's
42.
probably on Audible, which you can download for free.
That's a good slug.
And help out the secular Shethinkers here. Just like, go do that shit. It's really easy. The boy did it like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. One of my favorite things that we found was that queer women, and we had to lump all queer women together in order to get a significant sample, but we found that queer women have much higher body esteem than straight women do. So I thought that was amusing.
I wonder why that is.
Because you're like, I guess if you like women, you like different kinds of women, and therefore you're like, obviously there's somebody out there who likes my body type because I like my body type, or something. I don't know. I could see that being a thing.
Maybe.
Okay, so after you analyze the data, what you're looking for...
You're looking for your conclusions.
Yeah, well, you're looking for your conclusions, and basically the question that you're answering is not, did your data confirm your hypothesis? And if it did, then that's awesome because it doesn't happen that often. If it confirmed one of your hypotheses, then that's excellent. But if you didn't confirm your hypotheses, then it doesn't prove that the opposite is true. You just failed to confirm your hypotheses.
Yeah.
Like, that's all that it is.
If I remember anything, if I took anything from that stats class, it was understanding the null hypothesis.
Null hypothesis, man.
Just because you don't prove what you set out to prove doesn't mean that automatically the opposite is true. It doesn't mean anything else is true. It just means you didn't prove your hypothesis. So, I mean, that was a really interesting thing to learn, and we had to, like, study that and, like, analyze different stuff, and I don't know, I really liked that class. So.
But yeah, I think the two most important things that you can learn in pretty much any science class is, number one, correlation is not causation. Like, really. Like, just scream that over and over again. And number two, the null hypothesis. And if you've got that, you can probably at least be vaguely literate whenever there's a new study that's been conducted. Yeah. I hate the way media covers psychology experiments.
There was an XKCD, I think it's a recent comic, where it goes through a timeline from like 1900 to about the 80s or whatever, saying headlines refigured to incorporate link bait. And it's pretty funny. It's like, father figures out new theory of gravity. It's about Einstein or something. It's really great. Yeah, so you should go check out XKCD too. All these people that I plug, they should be paying us for that. I'm just gonna tell you all the things I like, and then demand payments from them.
I'm not entirely certain it works that way. But once you've got your conclusions, then if you want to, and generally you can just stop right there. Not everybody decides to go further, but if you want to, you can then try to get it published, which is a pain in the ass, but you can do it. And then another thing you're gonna want to do is come up with further studies that either you or somebody else can do. Maybe you want to study further that one thing that you did find, so that you can verify whether that's a true finding or not. Or maybe you think that one of the ways that you measured something wasn't necessarily valid, and so you want to try the experiment again, but with different measures. There's all kinds of different ways that you can continue studying something that you're interested in and just tweak it a little bit. Even if you just tweak it one way or another, it's enough to make it a new experiment, and hopefully you can find new findings with it. But like all science, what really matters is that you just keep going, keep trying to either prove someone wrong or prove something right. And with enough people doing that, you'll figure out what's real and what's bullshit.
And that's really all I care about. I mean, I look at these things, like, I see people post them all the time, and I just think, I automatically look at new shit and think, it's probably bullshit.
Yeah. Whenever I see the words "new study finds," I'm like, I bet they didn't.
Especially if it starts with a question.
Yeah.
Like, will this overturn everything ever?
No. They better be winning a Nobel Prize if they did.
Right?
And to be fair, like, when you see stupid sensational shit like that, it's usually not their fault. Like, the scientists that are conducting this study aren't the ones writing the article about the study. But it's just, like, it drives me crazy. It's so terrible.
Yeah, and another one of my hats that I've worn, I was a journalism major for a while, and I was journalism major, geology minor, and I wanted to go into science journalism specifically because of these problems. Because I wanted to be well informed about the things that I was reporting on and everything. I didn't want to, normally they don't have somebody who actually knows anything about science cover it, they just like start assigning you over there, and eventually you just get good at, or well, you know, quote unquote good at covering it. So
yeah,
it was pretty hit or miss for me with the journalism thing. I didn't really like it very much. I couldn't get drunk while I did it.
Oh, I think we're trying to get Hina Databoy instead of Neely.
Unfortunately, Neely's internet connection was hit or miss, and so we're gonna get Hina Databoy on to talk about neurodiversity here, hopefully in a minute.
Yay! Hopefully.
Yay! So
hi.
Oh my God, is that Hina?
That is Hina.
Yes, it is.
Hi. Hey, so we're drinking, and I heard from a little birdie that you were also drinking.
Well, my lovely partner made me dinner and paired a decent wine with it. And,
so you drank all the wines.
It was good. It was incredibly good. It's a good pairing of crockpot port adobo, or pork adobo. With what kind of wine? It was well paired.
Awesome.
Okay. I did something similar earlier this week. I made what did I make? I made ravioli, and I paired it with a big bottle of a wine I bought at Walmart. I don't remember which one.
The right pairing, it doesn't matter even if it's a cheap wine, if it just works with what you're eating. Holy shit.
We just like drinking at my apartment. At my house, we just like drinking.
That's the problem here.
All right, well, we're done with our psychology segment, so we're going to go to a commercial real quick, and then we'll be back to talk about neurodiversity.
Yay!
One of the most common forms of neurodiversity are people on the autism spectrum. That's why we recommend the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network, a nonprofit organization run by and for autistic people. ASAN was created to provide support and services to individuals on the autism spectrum while working to educate communities and improve public perceptions of autism. Their activities include public policy advocacy, community engagement to encourage inclusion and respect for neurodiversity, quality of life-oriented research, and the development of autistic cultural activities. For more information, check out autisticadvocacy.org.
And we're back with Hina Data Boy. Woo!
You know how to say my name! Woohoo!
I try.
You got it right, girl! No
Yay.
coaching. That's exciting.
What can I say? I'm a fan. Well, so we wanted to talk about neurodiversity, which is a new way of looking at what have previously been called psychological disorders, which I'm really excited about as someone who's studying to be a therapist, just because I really hate the stigma that's attached to psychological disorders, but especially things that aren't necessarily disorders. They're just different, like autism or other examples. I don't know. You probably know more about this than me. That's why we have you on the show.
Well, to some extent, because I've been not private about this, but not necessarily talking about it as much about it as I should. But I'm on the autism spectrum, and I'm a lady. I'm a girl. I was assigned female at birth and all that stuff. I'm a cis woman, and generally we are not considered to be autistic, but a big part of that is we're socialized as girls to be nice and friendly and polite.
Yeah.
Whereas boys are allowed to do their own thing, just socially speaking. So where behaviors that would have been normal to me had I been a man who was autistic, as a woman are not allowed for me, and so these traits don't become evident until I'm an adult and I realize other people do things differently from the way I do them.
Well, and that's a problem with a lot of things in psychology, is that just because something is diagnosed more often in particularly one gender or the other, it doesn't mean that it occurs more often. It just means that it goes unnoticed in one gender rather than the other. Like
depression is the counterexample. Yeah, there's
depression
way more...
is my favorite because women are diagnosed way more than men are with depression.
You know, my neurotypicality was misdiagnosed as depression and anxiety, and it wasn't even accurate for me because I wasn't sad just because I was sad because my brain was doing things. I was sad for very logical reasons. Not to say I was better, because being hyper-logical is irrational in a lot of ways, but...
Nobody wants to be Spock.
It is.
No one...
And being put into cognitive behavioral therapy, I was like, oh shit, like, I'm not just sad for no reason. There are reasons, but they're not reasons that I'm keeping in perspective.
Yeah.
And that's what tipped me off. And here I am, like, very firmly on the spectrum as a woman, and just reconsidering my childhood, reconsidering the things that people told me were wrong with me or right with me, and figuring out who and what I am, you know?
Yeah.
And it's very difficult. It's a very typical autism woman's story. There's certain traits we have because of stupid female socialization, like we're supposed to be amenable and agreeable and acquiescent to people's demands, where we may not want to be.
Pretty drinks.
Oh, I have another drink.
You need to finish that one.
All right.
During the commercial break, I went downstairs to get more ice to make more drinks. So that's where I was.
Well done, my lady.
Yeah, it was a difficult journey, okay? Because I had to walk downstairs. Clearly. So, like, you said that you've been diagnosed as an adult. What are some of the things in your childhood that you look back on and think, like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense now in light of this diagnosis?
Noise.
Noise.
I'm really audio sensitive. If 2 or 3 people try to talk to me at once, I kind of degenerate into screams. And I had to kind of repress that impulse as a child because I just kind of was expected to deal with 10 people barking orders at me, all contradictory, not knowing what to do. My boy cousins were allowed to, play with their Ninja Turtles or Nintendo in their room, but if relatives came over, even old-ass motherfuckers who I didn't want to talk to, can I curse?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, I say fuck all the time.
So, old-ass motherfuckers from a country where I don't even speak the language, and they come to visit my family out of nowhere, I'm supposed to fucking entertain them as a child. I don't know what the fuck to say to these adults who speak a language.
They're like, you've got a vagina, entertain them.
Somehow that works out.
Somehow. I've never really figured that out.
Sorry. I'm sorry, I have to mute you for 1 second.
Okay.
Okay.
Dead air. Oh, God.
Oh, no. But yeah, like I've said before, gender...
Alright, I'm back.
Well, alright then.
There you go. No more dead air.
I just muted you for a second, because I got shit to do.
Don't abandon us. No, it's cool. This is kind of thank you for doing this. This is very last minute.
But we lost her.
Oh no. Get her back. Well, go on to what you were saying.
Well, what I was going to say is there's so many times when gender does play a factor in psychology. One of my favorites, which we briefly mentioned, was that women are diagnosed in depression way more often than men are. But what's interesting is women are diagnosed more often than men, which doesn't mean women have depression more often than men do. It just means women seek treatment more often than men do, which is definitely true.
Makes sense.
Women seek psychological treatment more than men do for anything. One of the things that men do seek help for more than women, however, is either alcohol or drug abuse is probably the most common that men seek help for, which to me, looking back on some of the things I've done in the past, makes me think, isn't that just that could just be their way of self-medicating through depression?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I do to self-medicate through depression, and it's probably not a good thing, but I also don't do it, like, every night, like once a week. This is my once a week get drunk.
And Halloween.
Oh yeah, last night. Oh man, last night was crazy.
Yep.
I forgot yesterday was Halloween. I don't know how. Wow, that noise is annoying.
Right?
And I'm sorry, Charlie.
Google Hangouts didn't used to do this bullshit.
It didn't. What the hell happened?
I don't know.
It used to be awesome.
It was like, oh, we need to make cute little noises while you schmirkabork. I don't know. I'm getting drunker by the minute.
You're just drunk and frunk.
I am drunk and frunk.
I forget what that was originally supposed to mean.
It doesn't even matter anymore.
I was pretty drunk and frunk when I said it. I would like to know, I don't know if you can answer this as a psych student, but if you come across an adult who possibly is on the spectrum but isn't sure, would you recommend that they get tested? Like, go ahead and get tested?
I definitely would, just because it's kind of my mantra when it comes to anything. It's always better to know what your status is than to not know what your status is on whatever that particular thing might be. Say it's like, do I have HIV or not? It's better to know, even if you do, so that you can then treat it and then not have even worse symptoms.
Well,
I think the same
wouldn't
holds
call...
true for... Well, no, I'm saying like something terrible, which you may not want to know.
Oh, that's true.
Compared to something like, it may or may not affect you nearly as drastically, but you should still know, just because knowledge is power, and you can use that to your advantage.
Knowledge is half the battle.
G.I. Joe.
Indeed it is.
The other half is red and blue lasers.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you.
All right, I'm back.
Yay. We were just talking about what people who are adults who think they might be on the spectrum, like whether or not they should go and, I guess, get tested for?
It's really more of an evaluation.
There you go. That's the word I was looking for.
Like, it's a figuring out of, like, is this how you consider things? Is this how you think of things?
rather than a diagnosis. There's no real test. There are tests, certainly, but I wouldn't say it's as straightforward as with, say, bipolar, even.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've looked it up in the past, just because I've known somebody personally who thinks they might be, but they don't really care to get tested or anything like that, or get an evaluation is really the better term for it. And it seems to be like, hey, here's a list of behaviors or sort of, not necessarily symptoms, but here's a list of things that you might fit. And if you fit so many of them, then you might be on the spectrum type of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. Like, it was really through reading about other women with autism who are on the spectrum that made me realize, like, a lot of things that I thought were just me being awkward or me being wrong in some way. No, it was my brain chemistry and my sensory sensitivity coming through. Like, especially my auditory sensitivity, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
The idea of sound just being so crippling to me, like where I just want to lie in a corner with rocking back and forth. Oh, and also my stimming. You know what stimming is, right?
Yeah.
I don't, actually.
Stimming are these little physical tics or habits that you engage in order to comfort yourself. Like, I used to lick the corners of my lips, and I used to get hit and pinched by my teacher for doing that.
Yeah, I guess, from an observer's point of view, they're kind of similar to compulsions, except there's not an obsession that's being sated by the compulsion. So there's still little ways of, I guess, sating yourself from distress or anxiety. Is that kind of accurate?
Yeah, they're like little ways of feeling better about a situation that you have no control over. It's taking some control to distract yourself from the powerlessness of a situation.
I do this weird thing with my fingers, like this counting game that I play, and I've done it since I was a kid. I don't do it as much anymore, but I still do it sometimes because it helps me sleep. And I don't really know how to explain it without, like, showing somebody it. But it's basically a counting game that I play with my fingers, and I don't think I'm on the spectrum or anything like that, but I'm guessing that it's something similar to that, where it's like sort of a little physical thing that you do to help you calm down. And I swear I used to do it all the time when I was a kid. Anytime I was nervous or just like whatever, I would start doing this little counting game with my fingers, and then eventually I would kind of forget what I was upset about, and like things would be okay again.
Yeah.
But I don't use it so much anymore.
Well, and it's a good thing to bring up, just because I think a lot of people engage in some kind of behavior like that. Like
ritualistic sort of.
Yeah, even something as simple as drumming your fingers when you're bored is still.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What they call bad habits, basically.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, my teachers used to think I was just drumming my fingers, but no, I was playing it was an internal, like, all I can think to call it is a counting game that I came up with myself. And by the time I got to the end of the game, I would be calmed down and I would be okay. But my teachers and people always thought I was just drumming my fingers. I'm like, no, you don't get it.
I have all kinds of stems, and I've learned to just kind of love the stem. To just sort of say, okay, I can either be a mean, cranky bitch, or I can stem.
Yeah. I'm like, whatever helps you cope. I don't know why people would. I don't understand, like, the viewpoint of judging somebody for the thing that they're doing that helps them cope. As long as it's not hurting them or hurting other people, I don't really see why anybody would care.
That's why I took to wearing crochet tights. Because rubbing my fingers against the texture felt awesome, and also they kind of look good, but, like, also it's just rubbing your fingers against these tights. It's, like, calming in this way.
I can see that.
Yep.
That's the one advantage to being female identified on the autism spectrum. There's no others, probably, because you get overlooked, dismissed, and Borat's brother tells you you don't exist. But
well, Borat's brother can just go to hell.
Yeah, whatever.
If I
like,
existed.
If you believed it existed.
I wouldn't even tell him to suck a dick because that's fun. Like, no, you don't get to have fun.
That's why I say eat a dick, because that's not enjoyable.
Eat a bag of dicks.
Eat a bag of dicks.
It. No. But the one advantage is you can wear clothes that have textures that you can stim on, and some items of clothing, and especially hosiery that I own, it's really for stimming purposes. It's not for any other reason.
Well, now I have a new word in my vocabulary.
Yep.
Thank you for that. This show is all about learning.
What's the word? Stim?
Stim. Yeah, I never knew it in that sense.
It's the secret word of the night.
It's our secret word?
I don't know.
You win your $1 million prize.
Yay.
Remember, I'm a guest. I don't know what's actually going on.
It's okay. But I'm glad you brought that up, just because the reason I like neurodiversity rather than disorders is because I think a lot of things that, specifically like neurodiverse activities and things like that, I think a lot of people who I guess would be seen as neurotypical also engage in. It's just to different degrees. So I like I said, as somebody who's getting ready to be a therapist, I like looking at things in that way just because I don't want to be judgmental to people that I'm trying to help.
Yeah, I mean, I like the term neurodiversity because it's like, I'm pretty much neurotypical. I know there's some weird shit about me, but I think that stems more from, having a mental illness than anything else. Mm-hmm. But the fact that everybody is a little bit different, like, yeah, there's the typical way that it works, but I like the diversity thing. Like, it's almost like, not a true spectrum, but basically it's like there are certain behaviors that some people have that some others don't have, and it's better to look at it as just a different way that a mind works than to look at it as like a disease. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I'm
yeah,
sure.
No.
Okay.
I feel like I help my neurotypical friends because things that they take for granted in terms of human behavior, I didn't learn it instinctively. I learned it by watching and analyzing.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and like figuring out the tropes and learning how to people. You know what I mean? Like people as a verb, like how to be a people.
I know what you mean. The friend of mine that I mentioned earlier that said it was when you were off for a minute. But basically, I have a friend who thinks they might be on the autism spectrum, but not really sure. And that's something that he mentioned to me once, that like he basically didn't learn how to deal with people or social interactions until college, and it was because he was forced to. He couldn't just go home. He was in a dorm. He had to learn how to deal with these people, and the way that he deals with people is he analyzes them, figures out how they speak and how they think, and then just kind of copies that. And that's why people like him.
He's definitely on the autism spectrum. He's just a dude, so he can get away with that shit. Like when you're a girl, like they're like, kiss your great aunt and make nice to her even though she smells like mothballs and poop.
Like, oh my god.
Like you hate the way she smells, you hate the way she talks, you hate her, you just want to go play Nintendo. But the boys can play Nintendo and the girls can't. So I feel like when you're a woman and raised as a woman, assigned female at birth, and treated that way, you're just not given as much leeway to be yourself, and hence, the issues with being on the spectrum as a woman. And so you find out in your 20s that, like, oh, there's something going on here. And guys mistake, especially if you're a straight girl or a bisexual girl and you date men, they mistake, like, your autism for quirkiness. Like, they expect you to be Zooey Deschanel, but
oh god, I was gonna mention that.
Like, you're not. Like, I may dress kind of like Zooey Deschanel, but my neuroticisms are not neurotic. They are features, not bugs.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at earlier when I said why I like neurodiversity. It's like they're not diseases, they're not bad things. They're features, not bugs. Basically, what you just said, and I like that way of putting it.
Well, and I think with a lot of the forms of neurodiversity out there, I think there are advantages to neurotypical ways of thinking. Would you agree?
I'm really good at memorizing information that seems completely irrelevant. I mean, and I'm really good at tropes. Like, it's not that I see all people as you can break them down into tropes and they're meaningless. People are meaningful to me, obviously, and I'm very social. But there are certain tropes that people fall under, and it helps me to understand them, and it kind of amuses me more than anything. It's not a way of looking down on them. I have tropes that I fall under, and it's not a bad thing. It's just how we are as people. We follow patterns.
Have you ever got lost in the website TV Tropes?
Oh my God! Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding.
I think I may have gotten fired because I got lost on TV Tropes, and they're like, "You're not doing your work."
You're like, but
I think that
tropes.
happened at one point.
But I'm critically analyzing movies through tropes. This is important, damn it. Yeah, I get lost in that shit.
Yeah, I don't go on tropes anymore just because I'll get lost in it for like 3 hours and I'll be like, what the fuck time is it?
No, like the boy will text me in the morning and say, hey, can you do laundry today or some important adult shit that I need to get done? I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. Let me just check Facebook real fast, and then someone will be talking about movies. I'm like, here, hold on, that's a trope. And I'll go look it up, and suddenly it's 6 hours later, and the boy is home. And he's like, you didn't do that adult thing I asked you to do.
Like, but tropes.
But it was tropes.
Tropes are muy importante, okay? Like, I knew this girl, and she has an asshole boyfriend, and that's a trope, you know? The decent, smart, intelligent girl.
With an asshole
the asshole
boyfriend.
who she has to defend all the time, right?
It's a trope.
And I joked that she's a trope, and she said she was very huffy and offended. She's like, I'm not just this trope. I'm like, no, you were not just this trope, but this trope is totally a part of you because your boyfriend's an asshole. Like, I'm sorry, the only reason anybody puts up with him is you.
I'm so glad other people other people's lives get ruined by TV tropes and not just mine.
You're not alone.
Oh God, I dropped the lid.
Oh hell no, you're not alone.
I found the lid, everybody.
Isn't getting lost in TV tropes also a trope? I'm fairly certain they have it listed on there.
It is.
Yeah.
The page is actually called TV Tropes Will Ruin Your Life.
Yes, it does. Yes, it is. Between TV tropes and Know Your Meme, your life will be ruined.
Oh man, I don't go on Know Your Meme anymore because it fucks up my computer so bad. Like, my computer runs so slow while I'm on Know Your Meme, so I just don't go on it.
The one thing I will give Know Your Meme is they're the one objective...
Oh no! Did we lose you again? I think she was gonna say they're the one objective site that's looking and studying memes. I don't want to put words in her mouth, but I'm pretty sure she wasn't gonna say they're the one objective site that's telling you to eat a bag of dicks.
Since that's apparently a theme of tonight's show.
It's one of those two things. And I'm pretty sure it's
all
the
right,
first
we're
thing.
back.
Yay, she's back.
I was putting words in your mouth.
My point was that about TV tropes. But I Know Your Meme. Know Your Meme provides the most objective coverage I have ever seen of new media events. Like, when Steubenville happened, like the big gang rape trial, one of my friends asked me for a good objective source that wouldn't piss her off, and the only one I could find was Know Your Meme.
Really?
Know Your Meme is like the new CNN. Except better.
Shit, CNN, get your shit together.
And I tweeted about how great they are, and the people who run Know Your Meme now follow me on Twitter, so they care what I think about.
Yay.
That's the good thing, right?
That is a good thing. To get back to the neurodiversity topic, I can't pronounce that word.
Well, I guess I wanted to jump in and say that I guess there's some, I don't know if it's controversy or just conflicts or whatever, but I guess it's pretty widely accepted that autism spectrum is included in neurodiversity, but then there's a lot of other, I don't want to call them disorders, different psychological
differences
that are contested, like bipolar disorder, ADHD, schizophrenia. Like some of these, I'm not entirely certain.
I don't
if
know
they qualify.
If schizophrenia is on the neurodiversity thing. I thought that was more like a mental illness type of thing, and not a like different way of thinking.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's a fine line.
Yeah, I guess that's my biggest hesitation with neurodiversity is like where's the line drawn on what's just diversity and what's an actual disorder.
I think that it's kind of a new way of looking at it, and so I think if you give it time, it'll come up with those distinctions and such. So, but I'm happy it's here.
I am too, and it's still the way that I prefer to try to look at things, just because I don't, as somebody who works with people, I don't like judging them based on whatever it is that they're experiencing, because whether whatever they're experiencing is quote unquote all in their head, or if there's something else that's causing it, they're still experiencing it.
Oh my God, we have to have a show on mental illnesses to get into that all in your head bullshit.
Yeah.
I have depression, but I definitely don't include that in the neuroatypical thing, because that is definitely crossing the line into mental disorder and mental illness, and not just, a different way of thinking.
My idea is that if somebody has a mental disorder and they're medicated, they're neuroatypical at that point, because they're still operating on a different level, but it's not something that's going to be necessarily harmful.
I want to quote Neely, our would-be guest tonight, real fast.
She's amazing.
She is amazing. I love her. She has ADHD.
I like being on here, but I'm sad that she couldn't be.
Yeah. She said, on a completely unrelated note, after my internet kicked me off the podcast, I remembered that I put coconut milk ice cream on the counter to soften up a bit. Well, before actually going on the podcast. So I ran out there and it wasn't totally thawed. So that was good news, and yum. Then I saw that my 6-year-old was asleep, and my kitten Spock had gotten cozy with him, with her ass right in his sleeping little face. Another plus for me. I wish I had a chance to say bag of dicks on the show, though. This has been a stream of consciousness brought to you by ADHD.
Neely is brilliant and awesome, and
I know.
More people need to do stream of consciousness.
I do it all the time, and then Dory edits that shit. That's all my blog articles.
That's what editors are for, right?
It's stream of consciousness swearing. It's a lot of swearing usually.
To be fair, I don't
like a motherfucker.
To be fair, I don't really edit your shit that much. I just look for spelling errors more than anything else.
Amy, you spelled dick fuck wrong here.
Basically.
I mean, dirty
dick
nerdy.
Dick fuck only has one K, dirty nerdy.
I was gonna say that I majored in English and I'm brown, so my parents taught me better English than y'all so that I could assimilate and people would accept me.
You just said y'all.
Oh my God. I say y'all
assimilation.
You guys, it's sort of sexist.
One of us.
I was raised by Yankees, so I can't say y'all without sounding stupid to me. So
you know what? My parents are from a different continent, and my dad voted for Bush 2 times despite being a Muslim.
Like what?
Well, you have
I'm not kidding, man. I'm not kidding.
Gotta prove you're not one of the evil brown people. I
guess so.
Yeah, he makes racist jokes about Obama, and I'm like, your friends probably make those same jokes about you.
That's probably true.
It's fucking hilarious, you can laugh. It's really ridiculous, like, yeah.
But I guess when it comes to neurodiversity, I would think that the distinction would be whether it's causing the person with the symptoms, whether it's causing them distress or not, I guess would be the distinction I would make. Like,
man,
if it's not,
it's so much less stress to realize you're neuroatypical in a neurotypical world. It's good to realize, like, it's okay that I'm working so hard to be social or working so hard for people to like me. It's totally fine that I'm thinking consciously. It's not natural for me, and that's okay.
Yeah, and that kind of reminds me of when I finally actually got a diagnosis of depression. And again, I'm not putting that on the same spectrum as neurodiversity. I consider it a mental illness. It is a disease, and I am not offended in the least to call it that, because it causes me great distress. But going back to the whole, once you know what it is, you can put a name to it, it does relieve a lot of stress. And so I understand that part of it. Am I making sense? I'm pretty drunk.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Well, and I would say that's true of a lot of things where, like, you kind of, to quote alcoholics, you have your moment of clarity where you realize, like, holy shit, this is why all of these things have gone down in my life.
Yeah.
When you realize either you have depression or you fall on the autism spectrum, or, like, you're like, holy shit, I'm trans, you know, like... Those kind of moments in your life kind of radically make things better.
I've had the, holy shit, I'm an atheist. I've had the, holy shit, I'm bisexual. And the, holy shit, I have depression. And that one was actually, the catalyst for that was the boy coming in one day and being like, I'm taking you to the doctor because you're not just lazy or some shit like that. You're not a terrible person. You just have depression. I looked this up on the internet, and I'm taking you to the doctor. And that was it. I went into the doctor and got my official diagnosis, and I consider that, like, to be a good day. It sounds weird, like, if you've never experienced that, but it was actually, like, good.
Yeah.
No, it's a good feeling. Like, when my partner said, you're probably on the autism spectrum, and I looked up stuff about women with Asperger's and autism, it was a relief. Like, I found a chart, and I'm like, yup. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not broken. I'm just different. Like, and I just need different strategies for dealing with reality, which I'm much better at dealing with reality now, much calmer. I'm not as likely to break down in front of my family because I understand that we're just viewing things from entirely different perspectives, and that's kind of how we are, and that's okay.
Yeah. My brother is dyslexic, and he didn't know until college. When he was in elementary school, yeah, they supposedly tested him for learning disabilities in elementary school because he was having problems in class, but he's an intelligent person. Well, they didn't diagnose him with anything. Basically, it came down to a funding problem. If they diagnosed him, somehow it would affect their funding, and so they just provided help, but not the specific help that people with dyslexia need. So he didn't know till he was in college, and I remember the first time he talked to me about it, he was like, dirty nerdy, because my family calls me that, but not really. He was like...
I've met members of her family. They totally call her dirty nerdy.
Shut up, no, they don't. He was like, listen, I'm not just stupid. And that's what he thought his whole life. This kid... I mean, he's not a kid anymore. He's older than I am. But this kid who, in high school, could memorize entire Shakespearean plays, like, not just his part, but every other part, because you never know. He was like, I never know if I'm going to have to play that part. So he had, like, entire Shakespearean plays memorized and, like, including the stage directions and everything. Like, he's an intelligent guy, growing up thinking he's stupid because he just didn't know that he had dyslexia. And now I feel bad because I realized I insulted somebody with the word stupid earlier, and I apologize. But it's hard to get that shit out of your lexicon.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where it's like, it was an eye-opener for him. Like, yes, you got a diagnosis of a specific learning disability, but at least he knows what's wrong, or he knows what it is and can work with it, sort of. So... that's good.
Yeah, you can look up other people who have similar problems. You can talk to them. You can figure out that these little things that you did were coping mechanisms, and you can sort of embrace them in a more subtle way. It's nice. I've been able, like, I used to have breakdowns every time I dealt with my family, but now I can sort of learn to assert my boundaries. Like, if I need a break for them because they're all very loud and I'm auditory sensitive, that's my little Asper girl thing. Like, sounds upset me, and sometimes I just need to not have all these sounds conflicting, yelling at me.
Just be like, I'm having woman problems, and go to the bathroom for a while.
No, man. Then they try to give me chocolate and talk to me, because that's how they work.
Damn it. No. That works with my family.
I want the chocolate, but I don't want to talk to them.
My woman problems prevent me from talking to you.
Yeah, no, I've learned to say... I've learned to say, give me the chocolate and leave me the fuck alone. Like, go away. Leave for, like, 10 minutes, and then I will be sane. And all my ears need is 10 minutes of quiet and, like, a bar's worth of chocolate, and everything's fine. But that's all I need, and all I had to do to feel okay. It's not a huge deal to need a break from everybody. It's just a huge deal to be a woman and assert that.
Yeah, and it's really not a huge deal, because even I need, and I mean, I'm, like, pretty outgoing person, like, I like talking to lots of people and stuff at parties and whatnot, but even I sometimes need to just go to a back room and, like, take a breather for a minute and not be around so many people. That might be linked to depression and anxiety, but it's weird to be, like, an extrovert and have that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
People think I'm an extrovert. But I'm actually just a neuroatypical who's fucking fascinated by people and their inner workings.
So it looks like you're a good listener, but really you're like, oh my god, they have so many eyelashes or something. I don't know.
Oh, no. More like they have all the tropes that I know
Okay,
about.
yeah, that's the
TV
one.
Tropes.
I forgot what the thing was that you mentioned earlier, and I just made up some shit.
Tropes, man. Like, I'm, like, sitting there trying to figure out, okay, they're like... the girl with the asshole boyfriend, or the girl with the... she claims to have no boyfriend, but she has a best friend who's in love with her, or whatever. Like, everybody falls under tropes. It's really easy.
Do you know me well enough to put a trope on me?
You're awesome.
That's your trope.
That's my trope? Oh my god.
Your trope is badass.
Hannah Databoy thinks my trope is badass. I feel... I could just die right now. That's...
Aww.
No, I mean, like, in a good way.
I'm not really that big of a deal.
I think you are that big of a deal. I still have your card from when we met at Skepticon last year. It's in my purse. But then again...
that's just cute!
Dory knows, though, I never clean out anything, so...
It's not necessarily affection, it's a combination of affection and laziness, probably.
Yes, it is.
Okay, I understand, and I accept this.
More affection is more than 50% of that, though.
Okay.
Okay,
it's
more than 50% affection.
That's the majority, right?
It's the majority, yeah.
But I wanted to...
I'm so glad I'm going to see you this year, too, right?
Yay! I can't wait for you guys to
We're going to talk about holy scriptures, and I'm going to give you hair serum.
The hair serum! I forgot about that.
That's not a euphemism, ladies and gentlemen. I'm giving her actual serum in a bottle to put in her hair to make it less frizzy.
Because my hair is fucking insane, like...
I love awesome hair. You know more than 60% of the population has texture in their hair, but you wouldn't know it because everybody fucking flat irons and blow dries that shit.
I don't flat iron or blow dry. I don't even own a blow dryer.
You know, good on you. I'm the same way. I dye my hair crazy colors, but the heat never touches it.
There we go.
Yeah, I can't dye my hair because it's red and nothing ever takes.
What?
And I have dark, deep black brown, and I make shit happen. I was a redhead for a while. That was interesting. Nerd boys thought I was sexy.
Nerd boys think everything is sexy. What do you?
No, they don't. No. When I was a neurotypical...
I mean, not to say you're not sexy. I'm not saying that.
No. To go back to the topic, though. like, I was a neurotypical girl, so I would obsess on boys, but they didn't see me as a girl because I was weird and awkward and shit, and so they're like, oh, no girls talk to me while they're talking to me.
Oh god, I've had that happen to me before.
Yeah,
Me too, but for obvious reasons.
Oh yeah.
it would fucking piss me off, right? And I'm like, why?
It's
and
like
then I realized,
the ultimate
like,
erasure of yourself.
Yeah, and they think they're so edgy for not being into blondes. Redheads are more rare than blondes, so they basically are saying, I'm not like the stereotype that's into a tiny minority. I'm into an even tinier minority of the physical population.
I'm a tiny minority.
I hate being blonde just because everyone dyes their hair blonde, and it makes my hair boring.
Yeah, then everybody thinks that your hair is dyed.
Yeah. Just like, this is
My
just what
hair
my hair
was
looks
red,
like.
and then I threw purple on top of it, and I'm happy.
But I wanted to jump back in with when you said about like observing people growing up and basically trying to figure out how to people. It's fairly similar to what I did before I transitioned, because like I was like, I need to figure out how to gender, because like I got punished.
Working?
Well, I got punished pretty severely as a child for not having what was quote unquote correct gender expressions and gender presentations. So I would, like,
let's quote Madonna, right?
Right.
Like, girls can cut their hair short and be a boy because being a boy is cool, but like, if anybody who's even perceived to be as male, which you were perceived to be as male even though you weren't, if they at all do anything that's perceived to be even slightly feminine, that's offensive to people, because anything female or feminine is considered to be gross and low and shitty.
Well,
which is hilarious. It's hilarious because cute is the ultimate weapon. You can trick people into thinking you're harmless by being cute.
Basically. But like I would
love doing that.
I would devote like half of what I would think about all day would be like how to walk properly. Like all kinds, like ridiculous shit. Like, and when I finally came out, I was like, oh, I can actually like concentrate on life and not all this other bullshit that isn't important. Like,
I don't know, mine was always like, because I mean, I'm a pretty outgoing person. I like talking to people and stuff, but when my depression hits, especially like in high school, it was really hard because then I would have to focus on pretending to still be that extroverted person who wants to talk to people, and it just took so much out of me that I couldn't do anything else. And so it's weird how these things kind of cross over, where you have to put so much energy into putting energy into something that you're not really suited for, either in general or just in that moment. It's exhausting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exhausting is the best word for it.
Yeah,
like,
really.
I remember when I was in 6th grade and someone told me I walked like a girl, and I was like, how the fuck do girls walk? Like, what do you mean?
How does that work?
How
just
can I
walking.
make this happen? I want to walk like a lady. Oh my god, I had the same thing happen except the other way around, where I like to wear certain girly things, but I'm kind of like, I'm really femme in my I like to wear cute dresses and hair bows and makeup, but I mince around and I yell at people. So they're like, they want me to act like a lady, and I'm like, just because I wear lady clothes don't make me a lady.
That's how I am. It's so weird, like, because I have lots of femme clothes, but then I also have lots of, like, more casual, I guess you could call them butch clothes. I don't know. And so there are days when, yeah, I feel like dressing up, and so I'll wear a dress or something at school or whatever, and people are like, ooh, I like your dress, and then I almost feel like I have to change my behavior while I'm wearing the dress, and that's part of, I like how I look in it, but then that's part of the reason why I don't do it that often, is because of that behavioral expectation of what you're supposed to look like or act like or talk like while you're wearing that. And it annoys me. So I just don't do it.
I just go with it's a trick thing. Like they don't take me seriously because I am a lady in a cute dress. but they don't take me seriously at their own peril.
Yeah.
That's a good way of looking at it.
I'm gonna fuck you up and you don't even know it because I'm wearing a cute dress and makeup and you think that makes me harmless and you're stupid.
I love that. I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna try to use that mindset from now on.
Like, people smile at me in the store like I'm a little girl in a frilly cute dress, and I'm like, no, I'm a grown-ass woman in a frilly pink dress, and my boot will be in your butthole, whether you like it or not.
It goes in my
consent.
butt.
I'm sorry, I'm just kidding.
Thank you, Fimo.
I'm all about consent.
We need to have that BMO drop.
I know.
Hell yeah.
We're gonna have a whole fucking episode on Adventure Time one of these days.
Oh my god.
God, yes.
That needs to be like next fucking week. I don't even know what we're talking about next week.
My phone is BMO themed. I have a BMO case and it only makes BMO sounds.
Oh my god.
BMO is the best.
I think I'm gonna die knowing about this now. I don't know why I keep saying that.
I don't know.
You're
not gonna die.
Girl.
It's gonna be okay.
I'm gonna see you.
You have to live at least until Skepticon.
Alright, I will live until Skepticon, so I can see
I can give you hair serum and Bible debates with the Quran.
I still need to, like, put the time in and effort to actually annotate this Bible to so I can, like,
Just get the Skeptics Annotated Bible. It exists.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at the Skeptics Annotated Bible right in front of me.
See, the Skeptics Annotated Quran is not very good, and I know that personally, and I would probably be able to do it, but I got something else. I got other stuff to do.
Step up your game, Skeptics Annotated Quran.
Remember, Hina, we have a rule. No electronics allowed to help you, like last year.
Right, we're gonna do physical copies only. I remember.
Only physical copies. Just so our listeners know.
So you can get that tiny little slim volume of the Skeptics Annotated Bible. I have to get an actual English Quran and highlight it myself. So you're already at an advantage, girl.
I'm gonna go through and get those little like bookmark post-it note thingies and do that.
Those little Bible notes that they
Bible
do.
notes.
You're gonna be so much better off than me. You're gonna kick my ass.
Good. That's the plan.
And you're gonna hear it here on Shethinkers.
Woo!
During Skepticon.
But I better step up my game. I don't want the internet to know I lose at things.
Well, I guess on that note, join us next week when we geek out about Star Trek or maybe Adventure Time. I'm not sure.
It might have to be. It might have to be Adventure Time because we stopped watching Voyager in order to get caught up on Boardwalk. So I haven't finished Voyager yet.
So maybe it'll be Adventure Time.
Woo!
Come on, grab your friends.
Come on and grab your friends. Alright.
Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Spreaker and Twitter. Tonight's episode was brought to you by Audible.com. For your free 30-day trial and a free audiobook of your choice, go to audibletrial.com/Shethinkers. And now, in the interest of being fair and unbiased, here is today's counter-argument.
We need to work on our conservative alternate media to say, look, don't do the pro-gay thing. Why don't you rather step out and support these ex-gays? And we should encourage Fox News to tell their stories. Fox is now telling the stories of black conservatives because the other media is not doing that. We should all get on Fox and say, come on, tell the stories, these wonderful stories of happy men and women who've left the homosexual lifestyle.
Bob, if there's no one in the queue, I'd like to ask a question.
Go ahead, Rick.
Peter, the whole issue of a class action lawsuit, you and I have talked about this a little bit. I just wonder if you've explored that, talked to anyone about it. Obviously, statistically now, even the Center for Disease Control verifies that homosexuality much more likely leads to AIDS than smoking leads to cancer, and yet the entire nation has rejected smoking. Billions of dollars put in a trust fund to help cancer victims, and the tobacco industry was held accountable for that. Any thoughts on that kind of an approach?
Yeah, I think that's great. I would love to see it. We always wanted to see one of the kid in high school who was counseled by the official school counselor to just be gay, and then he comes down with HIV. But we never really got the client for that.
What you just said
is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Okay, a simple wrong would have done just fine, but...
Lift me up, let me go silvery. Planet smooth while you're lying next to me. Like the sun high above, you're the whip and the glove. Miss me sweetly, I'd have you find me. Seesaw my toy store, never know what I'm looking for. Right on top of every wave the ocean makes. Take me out, mountain shiver under me. Rhythm running river over my feet. Like a world holding me, you're the clouds and the trees. Miss me sweetly, I'd have you find me. Seesaw my toy store, never know what I'm looking for. Right on top of every wave the ocean makes. And I read it in a storybook that a telltale heart is well understood. And you couldn't do a thing for me. I'm much past help, you see. Hear that sound glide around the world on a balloon trip. Take my love, double it and triple it. Show my hand, it's not too bad, not too soft and not too hard. Miss me sweetly, I'd have you find me. Seesaw my toy store, never know what I'm looking for. Right on top of every wave the ocean makes. Right on top of every wave the ocean makes. Every breath the world takes.
Is it Easter egg time?
Adventure
time! Come on, grab
Come
your
on,
friends.
grab your friends.
We're
Going
going
to
to
a
a very
very
distant land with Jake the
the
dog
dog
and Finn the
and
human.
human.
The fun will never end. Adventure time! Hina, were you singing with us at all?
Yes, I was.
I think it's like a delay or something.
Who knows?
Good
We
night,
could try
listeners.
again, I guess.
Good night, listeners.